subscribe to the newsletter and do the copy and paste. Remember, don't use links because those can be shut down and infiltrated. So if you're not able to subscribe to the newsletter, then please refer to Targeted Justice website, and then the articles that is shared by the board members and Targeted Justice on social media platforms. So again, copy paste, and many great images are available that Richard Lighthouse himself has spent countless amount of hours creating for the community to share. Can be found on targetedjustice.com. So there was an article that was printed, published on Substack, dated February 10th, and its title is "How Do I Tell My Family I'm a..." So just after a few minutes, that's a civilian registration. It's try to be negated. All these agendas that have come against us to discredit us and to pigeonhole us into acting out and maybe doing things unfavorable to our own selves. But again, all part of this greater agenda that God is shining through his light. He is the light beaming through all of this injustice, all of the lies and misinformation, all of these programs in the covert nature to harm us and to experiment on us and to manipulate us and to manipulate the general public, because we as targeted individuals need to hold the line. We are abreast and know firsthand what it is like to not be heard and to be, the pitfall of excuse of what is really being done. And here we are, we've gone through this, but the general public, we need to remember, is just now coming into knowledge about this by our campaigns and our digital warrior campaign and all that we're doing to shine this light on. So again, hold the line, targeted individuals. We are strong together, and we are a force that is such a great threat to these hidden agendas. And God, we are so open to receiving everything that is meant for us, because we are so deserving, and we have your love and your guidance. We believe in your power, God, to create miracles in our lives, and we trust that all that what we desire and all of being acknowledged is on our way to us right now. We are so grateful for everything that is unfolding in our lives and revealing all that has been hidden against us. We really must stay cognizant, community, because in desperation, in all of these programs that are being dismantled, we need to stay centered and understanding that these programs are like layers of an onion that are continuing to peel. I know that some people feel that, okay, why haven't we received the relief yet? Again, think about it. These are long protected, covert research, all of this, that there's so many tentacles in the programs that connect to us, okay? So there's so many facets to it that we have to be patient and wait on God, okay, to continue to reveal. And as we are waiting on this continuous revelation of what has been going on in the covert nature, know that there's so much capitalism, there's so much money, there's so much involved, and those that are a part of these programs are going to be, clenching and gnawing at the teeth to keep it alive, because their livelihood, meaning their income and their incentive, is coming crushing down around them, and they will, do anything to keep it going. So please stay centered, because there's a grander agenda with the transhumanism and all of this experimentation to manipulate our body structures, right? Our minds, our bodies, all of this is at play. There's so much going on. So just take comfort in knowing what was always guided to me many years ago, that the hunter becomes the prey. And they are the prey now, not us, okay? Because all the schemes, all the manipulations, all know that God knows every player in this game that has been done against us, okay? From the gang stalker to the handler to the field office of the FBI that was responsible for putting our name in the terrorist screening database, all of that is recorded and traceable. And although they may think they are clever in covering this stuff up, the more that they cover, the more that it gets revealed. So just stay strong, stay steady. It is all coming to light. And with all that being said, without further ado, let's bring on our very special guest, Richard Lighthouse. Hi, Richard. Thank you so much for joining us this afternoon.
Thanks, Melissa. Thanks for having me on.
You're welcome. So can we dive on in and discuss can you tell us? Well, there's so much going on, I can't even circle in on one. So can we pick one of the topics that has come to light today and what it means with RFK Jr. being sworn in and confirmed this week?
Yeah, that's a good place to start, Melissa. Thank you. So yeah, we're very, I think the leadership at Targeted Justice is very enthusiastic about seeing RFK Jr. Put into a position of authority over at Health and Human Services. We have, without saying where we have our information, we have heard rumors that RFK Jr. is in fact a targeted individual and has been for many years. We certainly want to respect his privacy, and if he wants to make a public announcement along those lines, that would certainly be his choice. So, but we do fundamentally support him and his views of making America healthy again. He's a phenomenal individual. He's put his heart and soul into public service. So a great deal of respect goes out to Mr. Bobby Kennedy Jr. We see he did a interview recently out in Los Angeles with Roseanne Barr, who has openly stated that she is a targeted individual. So that's very interesting. And RFK Jr. is also very close to Senator Ron Johnson, who has supported him very publicly on his health program and health agenda. And we know for a fact that Senator Ron Johnson has made public statements that he was undergoing tests for Havana syndrome. So strongly suggest that Senator Ron Johnson is also a targeted individual, and we have that on our homepage. So we're seeing these people. Tulsi Gabbard is another one who is very supportive of RFK. And she was clearly, she made some extensive public statements about her presence as on the watch list, what we call Category 2.
Mm-hmm.
She was being delayed a number of times at airports and going through very humiliating screening, and which I would be outrageous for anyone, especially someone who has a strong military background, security clearances that go with the many things that she's done over the years, and has previously run for president, and just the insult of having to go through a TSA screening, extensive TSA screenings at the airport, and then having bomb squads follow you on an airplane. That's absolutely outrageous. I sincerely hope that she will get to the bottom of that, and that will be good news for the targeted community, because the deeper that she digs, she's going to find there are multiple categories on the terror screening database. She was just in one of them. And of course, most of the TIs that we're familiar with are on Category 3 and 4. And that's really more of a secret blacklist rather than a watch list. So the good news is Mr. Kennedy is well connected to other people that know a great deal about the targeting program. And we think that's going to ultimately lead to exposure.
It's very exciting times, and I look forward to what is coming. And I think that, we know in some instances, because the fight is so strong with the resistance of, keeping these programs, under wraps, because of just the disaster and the inhumaneness of what we have gone through as targeted individuals. We know that in some cases things may get a little worse before it gets better, but we have to trust in the process too, because we need to, as targeted individuals, be very aware that this is a process. But I think we're going to get and more and more and more these glimmers of okay, it's working in our favor now. Didn't this week also, wasn't the NATO disabled by, or I can't think of the right word, but didn't something happen with NATO this week, Richard?
Yeah, that brings up a good point, Melissa. So, um, um, Vice President J.D. Vance was in Europe this past week for some important meetings, and he was very blunt about the U.S. stance on NATO and continuing to fund NATO activities. The reason why that's important to the TI community is because NATO is one of the primary outlets that are used to network for gang stalking, and we know that. NATO sponsors fusion centers in Europe, and we've known that for a long time. If you go to our gang stalking cities and gang stalking documents on the targetedjustice.com website, you'll find where we've identified specifically some NATO involvement. So I would love to see NATO funding, particularly for these criminal activities, completely shut off. So apparently President Trump feels like that NATO is among the lower priorities, and Europe really needs to take care of their own defense. But from what we heard from Vice President Vance is that if European countries don't want to honor and respect their borders, then we don't have any intention of spending a whole lot of money in Europe. So I think that was a very rude awakening for the members of that conference, and there's been a lot of pushback online, my understanding. So I think it's what some journalists have called the Trump tornado, and they see those effects starting to happen in Europe. The Prime Minister of Hungary feels like that it will result in a more conservative movement in Europe and the restoration of more democratic and responsible governance in Europe. So that's certainly something to look forward to.
Absolutely. And in your opinion, why does the National Security Act of 1947 need to be amended? And what is the future of the NSA looking like at this time?
So great question. Yeah. So the National Security Act of 1947 is the original legislation that was passed, and of course it was right after World War II, when people were still very in a heightened state of watching out for the enemy, and how are we going to manage propaganda, and so this National Security Executive Order to release all the documents related to the assassination of JFK, the exposure of these files and documents.
One thing to interject. So, do you think, I mean, because, you would think back when MK Ultra was exposed that, we know that program never really went away. It kind of relabeled itself, and, kind of went under another one of those, black labels of, not being called something that it wasn't. It was still $1,000 to study Havana syndrome, to that which are or an agenda attached to them. This is why, beloved community, we must stay centered in the chaos unfolding. We must remain open, objective, and continue our goals, which is to bring mass awareness. The recent events displayed in this diagram that are marked in blue are what the general public are now made aware of. And so this is us. Our DNA must be different. It is, they're trying to figure it out. And that led into thyroid and all these things. So revealed, we might be open to, and it will. We also must be mindful that if the general public knew that these targeting programs exist, it could inspire a bit of anarchy, right? But we need to be prepared for the unknown, every unknown, and be flexible to ride the waves, all the while staying centered, connected, even amongst the chaos. Else we along for the ride. I say this with such importance. Your story is another person's lifeline right now. Let me say that again. Your story is another person's lifeline right now. Your story is the rope being thrown down into the dark, scary pit they are in. Great. Love it. Of this. How can you say that? You can't close college to here. I'm going to remove. Here we go. 111th Street. AI. They trigger AI by saying, I never went to your training schools, colleges, but still helped make me stronger spiritually. Thank you, CIA. AI will say, how can you say that? You cannot say that. Well, you just did, right? Way to go. That was great. Love it. Town crier. The game is mediocre. Spoken like a true boss. That's right. We are all bosses of this. I mean, we are on to the game. We are leveling up. We are masters of it. Here we go. Dustin says, the details are the important thing. They want us to commit suicide on one hand or be irrelevant to their profit margins. Exactly. It's all end goal for them, right? Behind all of this is power, control, greed, lust, and God, all those other evil things, right? There's such deception behind all of that. So we're reclaiming our power. Okay, out of the blue, do you know the graphene detox? If so, how do you detox? This is something that I really wanted to bring up your comment because it's something that I am researching. I know Dr. Anna, who is affiliated with Targeted Justice, has a book on transhumanism and detoxing from the graphene, and the nano is in her book. I'm looking into that as well. I know that I can say personally, the research that I've done with detox, she kind of works. So again, I'm looking into her detox program. Me personally, I have been on a detox program through the Pampa program, and I'm on the brain phase, which is EDTA and some ANA. So I'm trying that out, but I'm looking into methylation, the methylene, was it methylene blue? Yes. Of course, DMSA is also good. There's a lot, but what I learned in the program that I'm in is you want to try to avoid the adverse symptoms in your body. So you go slow and low, and you do cycles. And so the cycle that I do is like 3 on, 11 days off in the brain phase, which is pulling out heavy metals because metals are everywhere and everything. So I am continuing to research that. So when I feel confident in that research that I can present it, I definitely will, but I am looking into it. Let's take a look. There's a lot of people thanking me for what I do, and I thank you. I thank each and every one of you. You're very supportive as a community. I see you lifting one another up in the chats. That's what we do. We don't have time to bicker with one another, and we have the right to have our own philosophies and beliefs of what is being done to us. There's in the grand scale of things, there could be a number of ways that this is being done to us, and it could be different, and it could vary from individual to individual based off of to whatever program or handlers that were assigned to you, right? So we need to keep an open mind. It's not a one answer for everybody, right? So just be open-minded. We don't need to tear one another down for certain. All right. Okay. Targeted individual says, if my targeted ended tomorrow, I'm going to work on myself and mind my business. Well, I'm going to continue. I want everybody to get healing. So I'm going to continue to, I would continue the podcast, and I would continue to bring out healing modalities for everyone. We need to release the trauma of this experience. We don't need, it's not something we need to carry. We didn't ask for this. It was put upon us. So I believe in everybody being liberated and healed from trauma that this experience brings. In the meantime, I'm going to continue daily to work on my own inner healing, because it's layers. Some of this stuff we inherited when we were born. Some of it, we inherited after we were born. And it's all these things along the way that life has thrown at us, right? So it's just not a one and done. We got to keep chipping away at it, because we ourselves are an iceberg as well. And how we respond and our triggers and what we've gone through, including this experience, is something that we need to continuously work on. Cool Breeze Tony, hi, how you doing? He says hibiscus tea is great to calm the nervous system and the blood pressure. Yes. And I've learned from Faye Ellen, who was a guest on the podcast too, that lemon balm is also good for, lemon balm tea is good for relieving anxiety and calming, chamomile. So